Welcome to the IFRC General Assembly, where we set visions, strategy, and policies that guide our movement using our national societies around the world. In today's session, we'll focus on how national societies are enhancing their response and preparing for future flood events. Floods are increasingly becoming a global challenge. And the insights from our distinguished speaker will shed light on how we can strengthen our disaster management and preparedness. I'm honored to be joined by Abubakar Kende, Secretary General of the Nigeria Red Cross. Together, we'll explore the key challenges faced, lessons learned, and the critical measures being taken to protect communities and vital infrastructure like hospitals, schools, from future floods. Now, let's dive into the discussion with our first question. Mr. Kende, what were the most significant challenges faced during the immediate response to the recent floods by the Nigerian Red Cross?
Thank you very much for having me. One of the major challenges we have is the issue under evacuation of people that are affected, especially those whose houses were flooded. Nigerian society is blessed with nearly 1 million volunteers who are found in the nooks and corners of the society. So they are usually the first respondent to any emergency, be it floods or any other emergency situation. So having these floods now taking over some residential houses, especially in urban cities such as Borno, Maiduguri, and Borno State in the northeast part of Nigeria, the issue of evacuating people that are affected was a big challenge because there were no adequate boats or canoes for our volunteers to utilize. So they have to walk within the flooded waters, those who can swim, and then be able to evacuate people and then take them to nearby hospitals or clinics for attention. So that was one of the challenges that we have had. The issue also of medicaments. Most of the hospitals, especially in the urban areas, that were also flooded. So there were no rooms. So we have to shift a kind of temporary medical centers for treating people that were affected. So I think this was the major challenge we have. At the same time, even body bags. Sometimes we lack body bags for those who have who were dead, and getting them to be a kind of enclosed and for mass burial arrangement. So we had that challenge. Although with the close collaboration we have with the International Committee of the Red Cross, our major support is from the Federation, International Federation. So we got some body bags that were able to evacuate some people. But definitely the tools, especially canoes or boats, for reaching people within the shortest possible time is one of the critical challenges that we're having. Like I said, in many cases, the health services are being overwhelmed, and you require some extension services. We need to engage additional personnel to provide the required assistance in providing the basic first aid, bringing people back to life. Those who have asphyxia, those who need to get their breath back, and so on. So, and then subsequently, before we enter into the post-flood response.
Thank you. You mentioned a lot of challenges to reach vulnerable communities. Could you explain maybe one that you've overcome?
Yes. When we had challenges concerning this, we tried to use some of the land cruisers we have in reaching the people, those that can cross water. But also, we use some volunteers who know how to swim. We equip with life jackets. So they go into the houses to search for people, to search for casualties, and evacuate them. So I would say a lot of commendation for those volunteers who sacrifice all their energy and time, and actually in evacuating people and bringing them back to safe places for further support.
So you mentioned volunteers who could swim. How did you come about finding these volunteers?
Yes, like I said, our volunteers are community-based. They are based in their communities. So those riverine communities, I give example with Lokoja in Kogi State, that almost every year we have perennial floodings. So our volunteers are based there. So they are already trained and very conversant with the terrain. They know how to swim and they can easily make. So we train them, give them the additional training for first aid, for rescue and evacuation. And then they are able to really provide assistance or rescue people during time of need.
Thank you. So we've noticed that there's obviously been more and more floods, especially in Nigeria. What measures are being taken to protect critical infrastructure like hospitals and schools?
Yes, truly, like you observed, and the floods have been becoming a kind of more apparent, more sudden than previously. Some of the dams have been, kind of overflooded. So, which normally serve as a reservoir. The rainfall has been a little much higher, especially this year, 2024, as again the previous years. So many dams have were overflooded, and these waters they run into the communities, clear people's farmlands, and so on, which includes also hospitals and schools. Normally, children, casualties, victims of floods are usually sheltered in the first time, for the temporary shelters using hospitals and schools. But this time around, these hospitals and schools were also flooded, especially those within the metropolitan where the flood was. So we have to look for other areas. So it is very critical that government is making efforts to see that infrastructures are being provided in a location that they may not be flooded in the future. But also our own team of volunteers is educating people. We are now doing what we call pre-flood interventions, trying to see that people are well sensitized and they are prepared in case of any eventualities. So we are now not waiting for the floods to happen, knowing clearly the communities, the areas that are susceptible to flood, where volunteers goes and discuss with people immediately the rain start before the floods come up, to ensure the protection of the schools and also the facilities that provide health services to the people that were affected.
Thank you. So this leads to my second question about improvements for future floods, and you've mentioned obviously training people beforehand. Are there any other improvements that you feel are crucial to prepare for future floods?
Yes, we also support people even in preparing for where they'll move to. Now, as against taking over the schools and the hospitals in their communities. So we prepare them, and sometimes we even provide some cash assistance for them to also buy some stuff and then build places where temporary shelters where they will move on when the flood comes, so as to minimize kind of this taking over of the facilities, the school facilities and the hospitals. Because many instances, the schools are usually closed because the casualties, the people affected takes over these schools during the flooding. So we are now doing those pre-flood interventions, and that has empowered people now to be able to find a place, shelters they move in immediately. There's a sudden influx of floods, and then the schools and the hospitals are left to function normally.
Thank you so much for these really insightful answers and valuable insights on flood disaster. Thank you for your time. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll continue with some live events throughout the day and the week, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you for having me. I thought there are still 2 or 3.
So the other questions were regarding the Kenyan Red Cross, and I wasn't sure if, as you hadn't seen him, I didn't want to overburden you.
Yeah.
So you did 20 minutes, which is good.
Okay, thank you.
And what we'll do is we'll create a video for you to use as well,
okay.
And we'll create snippets of your answers, and we'll share them on our social accounts today.
Thank you
so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, guys, you are here.